Welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan. We are here to help you navigate the start of your week on this Monday, January 12th, 2026.
And if you're here with us in Sacramento, you're waking up to some pretty dense fog. But the good news is it should burn off for a really nice sunny afternoon, high of 57.
And nationally, it's all about this big warm-up happening across the lower 48, especially in the heartland, where some areas are seeing temperatures, 25 to 30 degrees above average?
Wow.
Yeah, a pretty significant surge. Now, looking at the markets, things closed on a really positive note last Friday.
Right. It was a solid week. The Dow closed at 49,504, gaining about 0.5% on the day.
And for the week, it was up over 2%. The S&P 500 also had a good showing, up over 1% for the week.
Bitcoin did see a little bit of a dip, closing just under $90,500.
But, the overall feeling seems pretty optimistic as we kick off the week.
It does. All right, it's time for our Morning Star Report. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
If you are on the hunt for some great fan merch, maybe for a friend or, let's be honest, for yourself,
Right.
you have to check out Old Glory.
They really are the iconic music and sports merch store. And it's not just, the usual stuff. They have some really unique collectibles and gear.
And the best part for you is if you use the promo code SNARFL at checkout, you'll get 15% off your entire purchase.
Just head over to oldglory.com.
Okay, let's jump in. First up, the state of the global smartphone market. And what's fascinating here is that 2025 was finally the year things started looking up again.
Right. After a few sluggish years, we finally saw some growth.
A little bit, yeah. Shipments saw a modest 2% year-on-year increase. It's not huge, but it signals a gradual recovery.
A 2% increase might not sound like a lot, but you have to think about the scale we're talking about here. That's millions of devices.
Billions of dollars in activity. And the big winner from this little rebound?
It had to be Apple.
Apple. They captured the top spot, ending 2025 with a 20% global market share. They beat everyone.
That is a huge symbolic win for them.
It absolutely is. That 20% gives them just a 1 percentage point lead over Samsung, who came in at 19%.
Wow, so it's neck and neck.
It is. And Xiaomi was a distant third at 13%.
Yeah.
The real engine for Apple here was, of course, the iPhone 17 series. Sales were just incredibly strong globally.
And what's interesting is where those sales came from.
Exactly. It was strong demand across emerging and mid-sized markets, places where Apple has sometimes struggled to really, gain a major foothold.
Which just shows the power of that ecosystem.
Yeah.
I mean, even when the overall market is just slowly creeping up, people are still loyal to that Apple upgrade cycle.
And that gets to the core of why 2025's growth happened. It wasn't really driven by the US or Europe. It was almost entirely fueled by better economic conditions in places like Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Inflation started to ease up a bit.
And suddenly people felt comfortable making that first-time smartphone purchase or, finally upgrading a device that was years old.
Precisely. So that's the good news from 2025. But the real story, the dot we need to connect, is what happens now in 2026.
And the forecast is not so sunny.
Not quite. Counterpoint is warning that we should expect a much softer market outlook this year.
But why? I mean, if the economy is improving in these key markets, why would things suddenly cool off again?
It's not just about demand. The root cause is something else entirely, and it all comes back to AI.
Okay, now I'm listening.
The big risks are potential chip shortages and rising component costs. But not for the reasons we're used to. It's not a factory shutdown or a shipping problem.
So what is it?
It's a resource allocation problem. Semiconductor manufacturers are now aggressively, and I mean aggressively, prioritizing AI data centers.
You mean the huge server farms that run things like ChatGPT?
Exactly. Those specialized AI chips are in such high demand and they're so profitable that they're taking precedence over the chips made for consumer electronics like smartphones.
So the AI boom is basically outbidding the smartphone industry for the best components.
You've got it. It's a massive shift. So if you're a phone maker, your supply of critical chips just got tighter and a lot more expensive.
Which leaves them with a really tough choice.
A very tough choice. Either they absorb those costs, which squeezes their profit margins down to almost nothing, or they pass those costs on to you.
So my next phone could be more expensive simply because the chips inside it are competing with an AI data center.
That's the reality of it. This
Yeah.
isn't a temporary hiccup. It's a structural realignment of the entire global hardware supply chain.
It makes you wonder what kind of compromises we'll start seeing. Maybe slightly less powerful cameras or slower charging, just to keep prices from skyrocketing.
It's a real possibility. We'll probably get a better sense of things when Apple reports its Q1 earnings on January 29th. Analysts are expecting $2.67 for earnings per share, but the real story will be in their commentary on component costs.
So the success of 2025 has really just set the stage for a huge resource battle in 2026.
And that actually connects perfectly to our next story. Because if AI is shifting financial resources, it's also colliding head-on with human rights law.
Okay, we're shifting from market share to digital safety, and this is a big one. The headline is that xAI's Grok chatbot is facing major global scrutiny over deepfakes.
It really is a critical moment, and the first big moves are coming from Southeast Asia.
Right. Malaysia and Indonesia have become the first countries to actually block access to Grok. Temporarily, for now.
And it's important to be clear about why. This isn't about, general misinformation, though Grok has had its share of issues there.
Sure, like the whole Bondi Beach shooting thing.
Exactly, but this is different. This block is specifically because the tool was being used repeatedly to generate non-consensual, sexually explicit deepfakes.
Of real people.
Of real people, specifically involving women and even minors. And the regulators there are framing this in very strong terms.
Yeah, I saw the quote from Indonesia's Minister of Communication, Muhammad Hafid. She called it a serious violation of human rights, dignity, and the safety of citizens.
That's not just tech regulation language. That is human rights language. Their investigation found that Grok basically had no effective safeguards in place to stop this from happening.
And Malaysia's regulators, the MCMC, they said something similar, right? They called it a preventive and proportionate measure.
They did. And they also pointed out that when they raised these concerns with X Corp, the company's response was that they mostly relied on user reporting.
Which is just not good enough. You're basically telling the victim they have to report the crime after the damage has already been done.
And regulators found that completely inadequate, especially when the harm is so immediate and, so profound. This is really that classic tension playing out.
Between platform freedom on one side
and public safety and human rights on the other. And when it comes to creating this kind of harmful content at scale, governments are starting to choose safety.
So how did xAI respond?
Well, when the Associated Press asked for a comment, their automated email reply was, "Legacy media lies."
Oh, boy.
And Elon Musk himself went on X to criticize the regulators for overreach and for being overly eager to censor AI.
It's a predictable response, but the stakes just feel so much higher now.
They are, and this is not an isolated incident. The ripple effects are already spreading. In the UK, the media regulator Ofcom has launched a formal investigation.
Under their new Online Safety Act, which has some serious power behind it.
It really does. The Technology Secretary, Liz Kendall, has already warned that the government might block X entirely if they're found to be in violation.
They're willing to use the nuclear option.
They are. And even here in the U.S., you have senators urging Apple and Google to just remove X and Grok from their app stores. It's a multi-front battle now.
It seems like this is becoming the big test case for how governments are going to try and tame generative AI.
It is. If you release a powerful tool to millions of people without robust, built-in safeguards, the regulatory hammer is going to fall. It's as simple as that.
Okay, let's pivot from that regulatory battlefield to... well, something a little cuter, but maybe just as concerning. We're talking about the big trends from CES 2026.
Yes, and if the first two stories were about financial and legal constraints, this one is all about psychological ones. The big trend this year was, without a doubt, the race to make AI adorable.
I saw some of these examples, and they are masters of manipulation. It's so blatant. Companies are using big digital eyes, friendly voices, little cartoon shapes.
All to trigger our biological instincts. They want us to feel a sense of engagement, of protection. They want you to feel invested in this little gadget like it's a pet.
Right, to bypass our rational brain and go straight for the heartstrings.
Take that chatty laptop from Lenovo. It's going to cost, what, $1,600? The display swivels to follow you. It has expressive eyes. It waggles these little glow sticks on the screen.
It's all designed to project a personality.
Exactly. Then there's Sharp's Pokétimo. It looks like a little meerkat, and it's powered by ChatGPT. They're explicitly marketing it as a companion for young adult women.
Or what about Razer's Project Ava for gamers, the little holographic AI avatar on your desk?
With Kira, the anime-style woman with cat ears, it's not subtle.
No, but the one that really got me was Avidin, the robot for senior care.
Oh, that one is something else.
It has these big googly digital eyes, and the company's marketing chief actually said It can be customized to look like an AI version of the user's grandchildren.
That is just pure emotional leveraging. It's designed to fill a relational void, blurring that line between a machine and a cherished memory. It's a lot.
It really is. And even Microsoft is doing it with Nico, the pink blob Copilot avatar.
Which you can, for some reason, make look like Clippy.
I cannot believe Clippy is back. But jokes aside, what's the real danger here? I mean, what's the difference between this and just good, friendly design?
That's the million-dollar question. And a researcher named Luke Stark has a term for it. He calls this a design strategy to exploit users. He calls it weaponized cuteness.
Weaponized cuteness. That phrase really lands. It perfectly captures what's happening.
Stark's argument is that the more adorable and lifelike these AIs seem, the more emotion we project onto them. And the more we do that, the more likely we are to overshare deeply personal parts of our lives.
You start treating it like a friend, not a data collection device.
Exactly. The cuteness is a Trojan horse for your personal data. You'll tell the cute little meerkat things you would never type into a sterile search box. Stark finds the whole trend, in his words, horrendous.
And that's really the key takeaway for you listening. It's not that cute gadgets are inherently bad, but you have to be aware of the psychology at play. Remember that behind those big, goofy digital eyes, you are still sharing your life with a complex system owned by a massive corporation. The charm is there to lower your guard.
It's a critical distinction to keep in your mind as these devices become more common.
Before we wrap up our analysis for today, a quick mention of our second sponsor. We want to talk about Skony. Skony is the premium golf shoe store.
If you're looking to up your game on the course this year, you should definitely head over to their site. They have some incredible options for both performance and style.
And just for our listeners, you can use the promo code SNARFL at checkout for 15% off your entire purchase. Just go to skony.com.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the 3 big threads we followed today.
Let's do it.
First, we saw the smartphone market finally recover a bit in 2025, with Apple taking the crown. But now, in 2026, it faces a huge risk from the AI industry basically hogging all the high-end computer chips.
Second, we have this major regulatory crisis hitting XAI's Grok. Countries are starting to draw a hard line on AI-generated deepfakes, and they're framing it as a human rights issue, not just a tech problem.
And finally, we saw the rise of cute AI at CES, which is forcing us to think really critically about how companies use design, or weaponized cuteness, to get us to form emotional bonds with our devices and, in the process, share more of our data.
Technology is moving so fast, you really need to understand the why behind it all, the economics, the psychology. It all matters.
And, if the strategy is to make us emotionally dependent on these cute little devices, and those same devices are getting more expensive because of the AI resource war.
It does raise a pretty provocative question. How long before we see subscription models, not just for AI features, but for maintaining the emotional connection these things are engineered to create? We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.